Am I the asshole for admitting I'm pissed at my husband for getting arrested? Last week my husband got arrested for endangering the welfare of a child. Our 6-month-old son, little dude. LD doesn't sleep well, and when does sleep we tend to stop living so he gets a good sleep. Last Monday I was at work and my husband was home with LD when he decided to run to the gas station for a snack. On the way LD fell asleep. My husband waited for a minute at the gas station but LD didn't wake up, so my husband left the car locked and running with LD inside. He ended up taking 20 minutes in the gas station due to many customers. When he came out the police were holding LD and our car window was broken. He was arrested for the aforementioned crime and child services took LD. I was called at work and had to firstly go and collect LD and then go bail my husband out of jail. He wasn't even remotely sorry about anything. I told him what he had done was absolutely stupid. I did not call him stupid. I called his actions stupid. I asked him how he could have done this when it seems every month we hear about a baby dying in a hot car and parents getting arrested. We're now being reviewed by CPS until such time as they deem us fit parents. This being a small town, the local news called us. I answered them honestly, I am glad my son and husband are okay, but I'm frankly very upset with my husband for being so reckless with our child, and I hope in time I can forgive him. LD was fine, he had the AC running, but it was a hot day, 94 degrees and sunny. My husband is pissed that I'm not publicly defending him and says I'm a bad wife because of this. Frankly, I think he's a dumbass for what he did and he doesn't deserve my defense. I'm mostly just thankful that we were allowed to take LD home. They could have easily jerked our rights over this. It's happened. Am I the asshole for telling the public that I'm pissed at my husband? Not the asshole. The terrifying fact here is that your husband does not accept that what he did was dangerous. What else does he think is okay? Not the asshole. Your husband endangered your helpless infant. I can't imagine what was so important at the gas station. Not the asshole. I'm a dad of a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. I don't give a damn who's sleeping. Mine aren't getting left in a running car for 1 second out of my sight. 20 minutes? Your husband is kinda a dipshit. Not the asshole. You sound like a fit parent. I'm on the fence about your husband because anything could have happened in 20 minutes. Leaving the car running doesn't make this situation better. Hope this works out in your favor. Not the asshole. You can leave your baby in the car while you do certain things. Checking the trunk, changing a tire, talking to someone right by the door. Basically, things that do not take you away from the vehicle. Your husband left the car, went inside a store and did not pay any attention to your child. Your car could have been stolen, it could have stalled and overheated. Your child could have been seriously hurt so easily. It might be forgivable if he could admit what he did was wrong and learn from it, but he seems to be doubling down on his shit actions. Not the asshole. Your husband could have killed your child. Any number of things could have happened while he was gone. You're lucky it was only the police breaking the window and getting him out. I'm truly disturbed by the fact that your husband doesn't think he did anything wrong. No comment would be a perfectly acceptable response to the media while still being pissed privately. You are the asshole for not having the sense to say, no comment, to the news when they called. This is not a therapist you're sharing your feelings with, it's a public news outlet. Not to mention admitting your husband is guilty. Very foolish. Your husband of course is also an asshole for leaving a 6-month-old child in the car. You two need to get it together before this kid grows up enough to realize who his parents are. He's obviously the asshole for his actions and his unwillingness to admit it. And you're right to be seriously upset by that, and to not defend it. But you didn't need to speak to the local news about a personal family matter. And it was unwise legally. What if you had said something by accident that CPS didn't like? I mean, you basically announced to the whole town that you agree your husband is reckless, yet want them to return the child to his custody? How would it affect your son if that happened? He didn't endanger your child. Paying for gas and leaving the child to sleep is not a risk. I never took my baby out of the car when paying for gas, because it's more risky to do that. I've seen this situation play out. Busybodies and tattletales just itching to bust parents who leave their kids in cars for innocuous lengths of time. I've seen people smash windows when a toddler is happily in the car, with no issues, followed of course by mob shaming when the parent returns. It's completely different scenario to the horrendous cases of toddlers left in cars for extended periods. Not that it stops the pile-on. Nothing like a bit of parent shaming to fire up the blood. Nice to see you're piling on against your husband too. You are the asshole. Not the asshole. Yeah, I'd want to make sure everyone knows I'm not on board with that level of careless and stupid, too. And it can only help for CPS to see that at least one parent isn't unapologetically negligent. I think that's what's disgusting about this. He isn't even sorry or anything. Not the asshole. Are you sure it was only 20 minutes, which is still too long? Also, he had the car running and locked the car from the outside. How? Service stations in the UK would call out, announce the registration number of the car first, to try and find the owner. Did they do that? Did he not look out the window at all and see a crowd of people panicking around the car? Did he not follow the normal human curiosity and look out when he heard a police siren and see lights reflecting off everything? Did he not hear the thwacking and several bangs it takes to break through a glass window and wonder if it was his car being carjacked? None of this makes sense unless he was also intoxicated somehow or blacked out. Can you get copies of the charge sheet or CCTV or ask an employee what happened? Wasn't the AC on? Isn't that good? Not the asshole. Not even a little. Yes, everyone makes mistakes, especially when they are in that worn-out newborn stage, but the fact that he thinks he did nothing wrong is appalling. The fact that he can't see that would be a huge red flag for me personally. He did bad and should feel bad. He messed up. You have the right to be pissed and tell him so, but what are you doing talking to the press about your relationship? The AC could have failed and LD could have roasted. Someone could have broken a window and driven off with LD. A drunk driver could have hit your parked car and killed LD. Something could have happened to your husband in the store and nobody might have known to check on LD. Or someone could have come along, seen LD, not known the full situation, and called for help. That's the most likely and least dangerous of the possibilities I listed. Your husband made a serious error in judgment, one that could have had tragic consequences, and you are not the asshole. I agree that where your husband did was wrong, but you didn't have to insult him like that to the news company. Had you told that to him, and just him, it would be understandable, but there was no need to say that to the news company. Your husband is definitely being the bigger asshole, but you didn't have to hurt his feelings like that. I'm going to side with your husband. I guess you are not a good ride or die spouse. We live in such a crazy time. It was common practice to leave a kid in the car for years. He's just in the gas station, for God's sake. You are the asshole for not having his back. People will downvote this, but who cares? We have become a bunch of overprotective bitches lately. AC was on, he was in the store. Husband is fine and should have your support. Probably going to get hate for this, but he obviously shouldn't have did what he did. He at least left the AC running, and I'm assuming the car locked if the cops broke the window. But 20 minutes away and out of sight. Even 5 minutes would have made me ultra paranoid, and I don't think I could have brought myself to make that call regardless of poor sleep. But as far as your actions, you added fuel to the fire, and I can't help but feel it was only to make yourself look better. You should have refused to comment. This could come back to bite your husband, but I hope not, because it would also affect you. Not the asshole. Your husband left your infant son by himself, in a locked car, on a sunny 94-degree day, in a heavily trafficked gas station parking lot, for 20 minutes. Anything could have happened, not just your infant overheating. Even worse, he left your sleeping child unattended in, presumably, a car seat. Car seats restrict the airflow of a baby, especially one as young as yours, and there is a real risk of suffocation if a baby is left sleeping in a car seat for too long. You have every right to be upset and to express your disappointment with your husband. You're not a bad wife for not publicly supporting your husband's incredibly reckless behavior. No assholes here, you're right to be upset. But I also have to agree with your husband, he had the AC running and he was nearby. Police should have asked in the gas station first and they saw the AC was running. Not saying they didn't do their job, but they certainly did their job and nothing else. Could have used their brains just like your husband could have used his brain to avoid this situation completely. This whole thread seems sus. 20 minutes for cops to arrive and break a window all while the husband was in the gas station. They didn't even go inside the gas station to check whose car it was? Yeah, that doesn't seem right at all. I call fake. Not the asshole. He endangered your child and is trying to make himself feel better by making you feel bad for not accepting his unacceptable behavior. I can understand that a baby cannot be the best as it comes to sleeping, but he put your child's life in danger temporarily and for the foreseeable future, as now there's risk it could be taken away from you and placed into the system. I would have left the bail unpaid for at least a day for him to think about his actions, but that's just me. Not the asshole. He didn't need to go to the gas station for snack. Once there, with LD asleep, he could have waited him out, driven home, or just risk waking him by taking him inside. He also could have left the store when the line was long. What really gets me is that he must have just walked away from the car and never looked back. If it were me, I would have been looking outside and checking the car constantly while I was in the store. ETA, I don't believe it was only 20 minutes by any stretch of the imagination. You are the asshole because it's not anyone's business. You're not asking if you're the asshole for being mad, you have right to be. But to say something about it to the local news is shitty, both to him and to your relationship. Plus there's literally nothing you could say to help the police case or the CPS case. Should have just not responded or told them, no comment. You are the asshole, the AC was on so the car wasn't hot. The temperature outside has no bearing on the safety of a running car with air conditioning. What incompetent cops. Defend your damn husband. What he did was perfectly responsible and it's what you should do. A car is meant to be left running with AC when you have animals or babies inside. Beyond that, even if he was wrong, who the guck talks to the news like that? If he was an asshole, then thist at best be an esh. Not the asshole. Side note, everyone's visceral reaction to this is hilarious because we millennials were left in the car with the AC running all the dang time when we were wee lads. Turns out I was being endangered, apparently. Lol. Not the asshole. How could your husband be so stupid? Everybody knows you have to throw a blanket over the kids so strangers can't see them in the car. Not the asshole. If my partner did that, he would be running for his life from my and his mother. You are the asshole. Calling him out in public to the news is a bad thing and a very effective way to make him feel like you're not on his team, like a couple is supposed to be. Would not surprise me if this have made him question the whole relationship and if you even like him. Everything else you did is okay though. Not the asshole, and I'm sorry. The timing does not make sense. If he were inside for 20 minutes and then when he went out the police already had the baby out, that means someone noticed the baby pretty much immediately after he went inside for the timing to work out. They had to have noticed and called the police immediately, spent at least a couple of minutes with 911, and then the police had time to get there and get to little man. In 20 minutes? And the whole time no one went into the store to say, hey, there's a baby in a car out here? Or people looking at cops rolling up and speculate what's going on? I'm really glad the baby is okay, because his story doesn't make sense. Small town. 20 minutes. Thinking face. Hell no. Not the asshole. He doesn't deserve a defense to such a stupid, reckless act. He deserves to get arrested and he deserves to go to court and explain his actions to a judge. Anyone could have broken the window and driven away with the baby. His stupidity has resulted in a CPS investigation. Even when the investigation is closed, that file will never go away. He's lucky you're standing by him, and the only person he needs to be angry with himself for being astronomically stupid. Car is parked outside a gas station with a baby in it. Any logical person would think to walk the 20 feet to go inside the gas station and say, whose baby OS locked in their car? Is the AC on? Either the person who busted your kid out of the car is an idiot or your husband is lying about the situation. I don't have a kid. Can someone help me understand why locking the doors and running the AC is putting the child at risk? Serious question. Esh. Obviously your husband screwed up and I'd be furious with him too, but I think talking bad about him to the press is way too far. He's right, you shouldn't be publicly berating him. Have your fight inside like adults and don't bring the whole town into it. Info. Are you asking if you're the asshole because you're mad at your husband for doing something really stupid? Or because you went in the news saying he's an idiot? He was dumb, no doubt. And he should fess up to that. But, why the fuck would you agree to sensationalize it by telling the news you thought he was dumb? That was 100% uncalled for. Tell them you're not discussing it. Not the asshole. I got a call from my neighbor at work that they had brought my toddler to their house because they found him outside in PJs in late October. I raced home and called my then-husband over a dozen times on the way. Turns out he had fallen asleep and my son just walked past him out onto the road. I lost my mind. I never really trusted him with our son again. It definitely was one of the major events that led to our eventual divorce. Why did they break the window of the running car outside the gas station before going inside to find out whose car it was? The child was not abandoned in the heat, they were locked in a car with AC. The police, and whoever called them, couldn't walk the short distance into the store and say, "Hey, who has your car description?" It's very easy to tell when a vehicle is running. I'd probably not do this with a baby, but I do it with my dogs. I don't think this post is real. I'm going with not the asshole because what your husband did was incredible stupid and he doesn't seem to realize that. You could have just said, "No comment," to the reporter and kept your feelings private, but it's your right to express yourself how you see fit. Not the asshole. What he did was incredibly stupid. You don't have to support that privately or publicly. The worst part, emo, is he didn't check on your child once in the time he was in the store, not even after realizing it was taking longer than expected. Anything could have happened and he wouldn't have known, just like he didn't notice the police or the window breaking. He is damn lucky it was the police he walked out to and not a missing car baby. Everyone sucks here for the same reasons as the others have listed. Not only that, but if the vehicle was newer it was likely pretty safe. Depending on the remote start setup, newer cars have a lot of the stuff locked down because of safety stuff. Then say 15 years ago, or depending on if it's an alarm or manufacturer's setup. Husband is royally a moron still. Not the asshole for all the reasons mentioned, however his story makes no sense. There is no way a gas station queue could possibly take 20 minutes, and there's generally full visibility of the site where you would notice a police car and commotion around the car. He had to be doing something else that he is not telling you about. Not the asshole. You can express your feelings however you want to. You don't have to feel guilty for telling the world the truth. That he endangered your son and you're upset about it. NTA. Holy shit. I wouldn't leave my kid alone with him again. What if someone tried to steal the car? Or the baby? What would have happened then? I don't care how much you don't want to wake a baby, you never leave a kid that young in car alone. No matter what. I wasn't left alone in the car until I was 14, not for anything at all, not even the quick gas station bathroom stops on long trips. That mon's ass would have hit the street if he was my husband, so you tell him he's lucky to even be sitting in the comfort of his home. I would have left his ass in jail and changed the locks. People need to stop saying 94 degrees like the AC wasn't running. Was it stupid? Sure. Are you all exaggerating? Yup. Not the asshole. As someone who works in children's services, comply with what they ask you, and if husband does not comply, be prepared to kick him out of the house and or leave somewhere else with baby. They will judge you based on your husband not complying and you allowing him near the baby. It will look like you are endangering your son by leaving him with husband when he does not cooperate, or you are complicit in the danger you husband put your son in. Not the asshole. I'd be pissed too. I'm confused. You say the air conditioning was running and the doors were locked. Is this a typo? If not, I fail to see the danger that LD was in. He wasn't at risk of overheating, and unless someone broke the window to steal your car, he was locked safely inside. Nah. You are the asshole and the police are also the asshole. The AC was on, the car was locked. The child was not in danger. The child would only be in danger if either was true. As others have stated, very easy for anyone to ask inside the gas station if the car AC is on and who it belongs to. Police like to destroy personal property and put people away for just about anything without forethought because it pads their resume for promotion. Be nicer to your husband. He just dealt with a lot of unnecessary stress caused by overzealous government as evidenced by the police action and CPS. Foster care is extraordinarily more dangerous for children than slightly ignorant parents.